Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Natoya and I'm here to help you start traveling the world. So in this video guys, I'm going to give you 30 tips you totally need if you want to travel on their super cheap. So guys, even if you're normally not a cheapskate, but you just want to save money because you want to travel a lot, you want your money to go further, this video is for you. But before we begin, there are a ton of resources in the description, so make sure you check that out. And this video is a part of my beginner budget traveler playlist. Make sure you check that out too. I'll link it below and above. So let's start. The first thing you need to save money and be a cheapskate is to avoid annoying foreign transaction fees. Make sure you have a debit and a credit card that does not charge you any transaction fees. I don't know what it is now, but back when I had Bank of America, every time I would withdraw money, they would charge me $5. And there was a fee for me even using the card, like when I'm doing regular transactions. And for credit cards too, you can be charged a fee for using it abroad. So just avoid this annoying fee, avoid wasting money by having a debit and a credit card with no foreign transaction fees. So I will link 2 articles from a nerd wallet. I'm not an expert here. I will link that below, but I do have Capital One 360 and I've been using them for years. I think they're a great bank account to travel with. And another tip, certain banks do not work all over the world. So for example, Chime and Varo, they do not work in Croatia and some parts of Europe. So just make sure that your bank account can actually work in the country that you're visiting. My next tip is to not withdraw from an ATM in the airport. The rates are horrible. They know that the tourists are desperate for some cash, so they give you horrible rates. Just wait till you leave the airport to withdraw cash. My next tip is to know your currency so you don't overspend. Get familiar with the currency that you're using in whatever country that you're visiting, so you know that you're overspending and you know if you're being overcharged. That's happened to me a few times where I spent way more money than I thought I was spending just because I'm just not comfortable with the money and I'm just not used to using it. So just get familiar with that. And a simple way to do it is just to use XE converter. See what $1 is in whatever currency, what's equivalent to $1, so that you can quickly do the math and you can know how much money you're spending. All right, so my next tip is, and this is my favorite tip, I made a video all about this. I'll link it above and below. It's called How to Travel When You Don't Have Any Money. My next tip is to get freebies from friends and family. The best way to fund your trip is from friends and family. So take advantage of holidays, of whatever celebration, birthdays, graduation, any situation where you will receive some kind of gift and let them pay or give you something that would help you with some part of your trip. So for example, Airbnb credits, hotels.com credits, miles that someone is not using, they can give it to you. Like I said in that video, my mother gave me a $200 gift card for Delta. You can get your travel insurance paid for. You can ask for a luggage set for your birthday. There's just so many ways you can fund your trip for free just from getting freebies from friends and family. My next tip is to get like discounts and first time customer rates. So for example, I'm not sure if Airbnb still does this, but on your first stay, you can get $75 off your first stay. For getyourguide.com, you could get 10% off your first tour. Viator is the same thing. That's a tour company. You can get 10% off your first tour. There are many different travel services that if you are a first-time customer, you can get a discount. So before you go ahead and book anything, just do a quick Google search to see if there's a discount that you can get since this is your first time. So I'll link some of those in the description so you can get started. So my next tip is, and this is about flights, my next tip is if you're taking a short trip, avoid the carry-on, avoid the checked luggage. Just carry a little tote bag that you can fit a lot of things inside of it, and then the heavier things you can just wear. So in my video, 18 things you need to travel with, I showed you guys my travel tote bag. I actually use it to hold my documents, especially since we're going through COVID right now. We need so many different documents when traveling. So I use that to carry my documents and my laptops and all that stuff. But I'm also going to use that bag for shorter trips so that I don't have to pay for a carry-on. So I would suggest packing light, avoiding the large luggage and the fees that come with that, especially for these budget airlines in Europe. I would suggest just getting a tote, saving money, traveling quick, and traveling light. Pack light and wear the same things over and over again. Yes, I did say wear the same things over and over again because you will save money on checked luggage. You'll pack lighter and you'll know what to wear every day, and it just takes out all the guesswork. So I'm making a video all about how to wear the same thing over and over again and pack light when traveling. So be sure to subscribe for that. But I highly recommend that you do that because it saves you time, it saves you energy walking around with a ginormous bag. So just consider it. So guys, I made a whole video on how to get super cheap flights anywhere in the world. I'll link it above and below. My next tip is to book a flight with many stops. Yes, I said it. Book a flight with lots of stops because they are usually the cheapest. The faster flights, of course, are more expensive because it's convenient. But if you're really on a tight budget, book the flight with 2 stops. When I first started traveling, I honestly did not mind doing the flights with 2 stops. I even didn't mind doing the flights with long layovers. That's the next tip. Book flights with long layovers. The good thing here is that with these long layovers, you can leave the airport, explore that new city or country for free. So for example, when I was going back home from Japan, I had a 12-hour layover in Korea. So I left the airport, I explored Korea, and after those 12 hours, I just went back to the airport and took my flight to the US. So I got to see Korea for free. My next tip on flights is to book those flights with the horrible hours. The really early flights and the really late flights, they are a steal. Next, make sure you book your flight on the right website. Just because a website might be called cheapest tickets on the internet, it doesn't mean the tickets are actually the cheapest. Use skyscanner.com to book your flights. I've been using Skyscanner for years and I found that website to have the cheapest flights. I'll link it below. Next, if you are open to traveling to anywhere in the world, use the feature on Skyscanner where you can put everywhere or anywhere in the search bar and it'll show you the cheapest destinations you can go to. So what you would do is you would go to skyscanner.com, enter the airport you're leaving from, put everywhere in the search bar, and then you can put the month that you are interested in traveling. And what will pop up is the cheapest place you can visit. So if you're open to a new destination, definitely use that feature. My next tip is when booking your flight, depart or arrive to alternate airports. Sometimes you can get a cheaper flight leaving from a different airport. So for example, it's so much cheaper for me to leave from Newark International Airport, which is about an hour away from me. It's so much cheaper for me to leave from that airport to go to Paris than it's cheaper for me to leave from JFK Airport, which is a half an hour away. So I'm willing to travel an extra half an hour to save to $150 to $200. My next tip is to get free flights. You don't have to worry about paying for flights by using loyalty programs. So the most common way would be to join an airline alliance program, for example, Delta Sky Miles, and fly with those airlines. And every time you fly, you submit your points and you can build up your miles. You can build up your miles and then eventually get a free flight. So that's definitely the most common way. And of course you should be doing that because it's just passively earning free flights. But other ways of doing this is just to join loyalty programs that don't really have anything to do with flying. So for example, you can earn miles with Delta from staying at Airbnbs or renting a car, Marriott hotels, taking Lyft rides. There's so many companies affiliated with these airlines that will help you earn free flights. So if you're like me, you use Airbnb all the time and Lyft, you might as well connect your 2 accounts or whatever it is that you have to do just to show that you've used the service and you can start earning miles. You might as well go ahead and do it so that you can start earning free flights. My next tip is, and this is a big one, I've said this in so many videos, you need to travel off season. You need to become an off-season traveler. That's where all the travel deals are. Flights are cheaper, accommodations are cheaper, even activities are cheaper when you travel off season. And when I mean off season, I'm talking about when no one's traveling. So during the fall, during the winter, not during the holidays, like not during Thanksgiving, Christmas, even Valentine's Day, Labor Day, just avoid those times. Trust me, it's way cheaper to travel this way. My next tip is, and this goes for accommodation, is to pick an Airbnb over a hotel. And not just any type of hotel, but a Airbnb over the budget hotels. So I know that you're on a budget, and of course you want to stay at budget places, budget hotels. So I would pick an Airbnb over a budget hotel. It is not the same. I don't care where you are in the world, certain budget hotels are just not great. I just recommend you book an Airbnb over a budget hotel because the overall experience I find is better. I feel like my money goes way farther with Airbnbs. I don't want to get into this too much because I'm going to film a video all about booking Airbnbs for new travelers that want to save a ton of money while traveling. So be sure to subscribe for that video. And if you want to save even more money, you can book a room at an Airbnb or someone's apartment or home. That's an even better way to save money. I've done that before. I've just rented a room. And if you want to save even more money, you can rent a shared room at an Airbnb. And I've done that before too. It's all about reading the reviews and just getting an awesome host and a few other variables that I'll get into in that video that I'm making. Another option for accommodation is hostels. Hostels are not what they used to be. When I first started traveling, when I was like 19, 20 years old, they were great. I had great experiences at those hostels, but nowadays hostels have just improved like crazy. And if you're unfamiliar with hostels, they are a budget option for accommodations, but it's also mainly for travelers that want to like mingle with other travelers. It's more about community. It's just not about saving money. You can get an Airbnb that's the same price as a hostel. You really can. So it's not all about saving money, but still that's an option. You can use hostelworld.com to book a hostel. I'll link it in the description. My next tip is to stay outside the city center, get outside the tourist bubble, because everything is usually cheaper. So this is like a general tip. Not every single city you have to get out the city center. So for example, I made a ton of videos on Croatia. Croatia is so affordable. You can stay in the city center and still have access to affordable food and activities. But for most places in the world, like Paris, London, staying in the city center will cost you a ton of money and just eat up your budget. So not only will you save money staying outside the city center, you'll be in a neighborhood with the locals and you'll just have a whole different type of experience staying outside the city center. So for example, right now, I'm in Paris right now and we're staying right outside of Paris. It's about a 20-minute walk to Montmartre. So we're super close to Paris. Everything is a lot cheaper. It's quieter and it's just a whole different vibe. And I have to say it's not a terrible experience because I could literally walk into Montmartre, which is my favorite neighborhood in Paris. So just consider staying outside the city center, do your research, and just see if this is the best option for you. Now let's talk a little bit about food. My best tip is to go to the grocery store, pick up some groceries, and cook. And of course, you would have to book an Airbnb with like with a kitchen to do this. But if you want to save a ton of money, cook at least 1 to 2 meals a day. So my rule is I cook one meal, which is usually breakfast, and then I'll like buy another meal. And then I would buy like snacks to eat throughout the day and make sure I have beverages, coffee, water, juice. I just go do a grocery store run and keep it in the Airbnb. So it's a great way to save money. And it's so much fun grocery shopping in a new country. I don't know if that's just me, but I love grocery shopping in a new country. And my next tip is if you're staying in a hotel, hostel, and some Airbnbs do this as well, is to book a place with free breakfast. Again, that's a great way to save some money on food when you have a free breakfast. And the next thing is that you can take some of those breakfast items and then you can save it and you can have it for lunch, or you can have it as a snack throughout the day. So for example, I'm sure if you've been to a hotel that offers a free breakfast with like muffins, yogurts, and juice, you can just take it back to your room, store it there for when you're hungry. My next tip is, and this is when dining out, get the lunch menu or the daily special. So for example, here in Paris, there's something called the plat du jour or plate of the day. So it's a plate of the day. So for example, you can get a starter, an entree, and a dessert. That's an option. You can get that for between 17 to 20 euros. Or you can get an entree, a starter, and an entree alone, and that will probably be like 15 euros, or just the plate of the day, the meal of the day for 14 to 15 euros. So this is a great way to eat a lot of good food and save money. My next tip is to eat where the locals are eating. Go to their restaurants. Of course, it's going to be cheaper than the restaurants geared towards the tourist. Go where the locals are eating so you can get the local price. My next tip is to eat what the locals are eating. Of course, the foods that you're eating in the country, that's what the locals are eating, of course, is going to be a better deal than foods that are like from other foreign countries. Like for example, in Croatia, Mexican food is crazy expensive. But if you buy some Croatian foods, you can pay like $3 to $5 compared to like $15 for some Mexican food. Eat what the locals are eating because you're gonna save a ton of money. And of course, it's a part of the experience of traveling to a new country. Okay, my next tip is, and this has to do with navigating the country, is to travel to a country that is walkable so you can save money on transportation. I would say far away from cities that you need a car. So not only do you have to pay for the rental car, you have to pay for gas, you have to pay for insurance. There's just a whole lot that comes with renting a car. Just visit cities that are totally walkable. For example, Paris is such a walkable city. You don't need a car. You don't even need to take public transportation if you're in the right neighborhood. So just do some research and just choose places that are more walkable. My next tip is, when it comes to navigating the country, is also to visit a place where public transportation is not crazy expensive. So for example, in Japan, it is so expensive to get around Japan. Not so much Tokyo, the metro in Tokyo, it's not so much expensive. But when you leave Tokyo and go to other cities like Fukuoka, Osaka, the train is crazy, crazy expensive, and it's just unbelievable. So when deciding where to go, pick a city where public transportation is not a lot of money. You can use the website numbeo.com. You can enter your city and you can scroll all the way down to see how much it costs to travel around the country. My next tip is to take full advantage of free walking tours. So I'll link in the description a website where you can book free walking tours all over the world. You do have to give them a tip, but you're still saving a ton of money. So try out free walking tours. And as for activities, go to a country where there's lots of free activities to do, but also a country where it's just fun to walk around the country and just explore, and it costs you nothing. So I guess this totally depends on your personality and your travel and what you like to do when traveling. But pick a place where it costs you nothing to have a great time. So for me, that was Croatia. I loved strolling around the old towns, doing sightseeing, exploring, admiring the architecture, and just having a good time, and it cost me nothing. So when picking a destination, make sure you can do a lot of free things. All you have to do is type free things to do in X city, and you will get so many different results on Google. So guys, I really hope these 30 tips helped you. These are just some tips I picked up after traveling the world for many, many years. Make sure you like this video, hit the subscription button and the bell notification, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.